Lieutenant Mara Jensen stood on the edge of the main landing field, her breath catching at the sight of the distant horizon. Cormag 9 was a harsh world, a cold, rocky planetoid far from the core of human space. Winds whipped red dust across. The bare ridges and the sky was a dull coppery color from the fine mineral particles that hung in the thin air. Yet humans had built a small colony here to mine rare crystals needed for long-distance communication. Small, multi-pleated domes and metal-framed habitats clustered around a central processing plant. Solar arrays hummed quietly, and the occasional hover truck trundled down the narrow road carved into volcanic rock. Mara had arrived on Cormag 9 3 weeks earlier, leading a tiny team of xenobiologists and translators. She was in her mid-30s, with close-cropped hair, practical boots, and a calm, focused gaze. Her specialty was alien life forms, and the Zirath were the ultimate unknown. For generations, the Zirath had been legends, stories told by pilots and scouts who only glimpsed the faint glow of their ships at the edge of sensor range. Some said the Zirath were savage monsters who consumed entire worlds. Others whispered that they were a noble race, proud and ancient. No one really knew. Colonists on Cormag 9 had built sturdy outposts near the richest crystal veins, but they always stayed on alert. Late at night, guards watched dark scanners while miners told stories of distant battles between Zirath fleets and human patrols. Most of the time it was just rumor, but everyone knew it was only a matter of time before the legends came true. One evening, a low hum shivered through the air as automated warning sirens cut out over the colony's loudspeakers. Red lights flashed along the edges of buildings. People stopped what they were doing and looked up, some with fear, others with awe. In the dark sky, a massive silhouette appeared. It was a warship shaped like a crescent moon, but at least 10 times larger than any human freighter. Purple-blue, engines glowed behind thick armor plating. Colonel Victor Hale, Cormag 9's military commander, scrambled his officers. He was a tall man with silver hair and a stern face. He barked orders into his comm unit, rallying defense drones and energy turrets. Pilots in the small fleet of patrol fighters hurried into cockpits. Sparks flew from maintenance bays as crews raced to fuel and arm their ships. Mara felt a knot tighten in her chest. She had prepared for this moment by gathering data about Zirath, biology. Her research suggested that the Zirath Queen would be present whenever their warship came to claim a new world. Loyal to her people above all else, the Queen was said to be massive, taller than 2 human warwalkers side by side, with razor-sharp spines and eyes that glowed yellow under her chitinous armor. Within minutes, a smaller landing craft peeled, away from the main ship and descended toward the colony. Alarm klaxons blasted. Human Marines took up defensive positions, their rifles raised, legs braced. But Colonel Hale held back a general order to fire. He waited to see what the Zirath would do. The landing craft touched down in a cloud of red dust. A ramp lowered and a hush fell. Silhouetted against the dust was the Zirath Queen herself. She stood on a raised platform carried by 13 guards. Each guard was clad in iridescent armor that looked like insect wings folded over their backs. The Queen's carapace glinted in the thin sunlight. Her head was crowned with a series of bioluminescent crests that pulsed with shifting patterns of blue and green. A translator drone hovered nearby, picking up the rumble of her insectoid tones. Across his comm, Lieutenant Roland Kim whispered to Mara, "She's incredible. No one's seen a Zirath in person before. I can't read her intent." Colonel Hale cleared his throat and spoke into his megaphone. "Queen Saraki of the Zirath. This is Colonel Victor Hale of the United Earth Mining Authority. This is human territory. Identify your purpose." His voice cracked slightly. The Queen raised a massive claw. The guards shifted in unison, weapons at the ready. Then her crest glowed brighter, and the translator rendered her speech into human words with an electronic stutter. "I come for resources. None may stand in my path." A murmur rippled through the crowd. Some colonists huddled behind makeshift barricades. The sky-heavy tension felt like static electricity ready to spark. But before Colonel Hale could reply, something unexpected happened. A soft hum reached everyone's ears, a tone so low that it vibrated through the ground. It was a call. Mara recognized it from her studies. A Zerath truce signal. It was rarely used, only when the queen wanted to parley or when she was curious about another species' offering. She took a careful step forward, heart pounding, and signaled for the medical team to prepare. 4 human medics emerged from a nearby building, carrying a small biocontainment pod filled with glowing turquoise crystals. These crystals, mined on Cormag 9, were believed to have healing qualities. The miners called them life gems and used them to treat radiation sickness or deep cuts. Scientists even speculated they might have unknown applications for alien biology. Mara had insisted on keeping a few samples for just such a moment, if a chance arose to save a life and build trust. The Queen's guards tightened their grips on energy rifles. Colonel Hale motioned for his Marines to stand down. Slowly, Mara and 2 medics walked toward the Zerath platform, keeping their hands visible and carrying the life gem pod like a gift. The guards lowered their weapons just enough to allow passage. Colonists watched in mixed fear and wonder. As they approached, Mara could see the Queen's glowing eyes studying the pod. Every step filled her with nervous energy. She reminded herself to breathe. She knew the risks. If the Queen rejected or attacked them, it could mean total destruction. But Mara believed in compassion. She believed that healing could speak louder than weapons. When she was within arm's reach, Mara knelt and held the pod toward the Queen's massive claw. Her voice was calm. "We offer these crystals to show that we mean no harm. We understand. You are powerful. But we also believe that cooperation could benefit us both." The Queen's guards relaxed slightly, and Colonel Hale allowed himself a small nod. In that moment, the colony of Cormag 9 felt like a bridge between 2 worlds. Mara realized that this first contact, born from compassion, could change the fate of humanity and of the Zerath forever. Lieutenant Mara Jensen stood inside the meeting chamber, her heart still racing from the first contact. The chamber was a simple modular room built into one of the colony's habitat domes. Pale metal walls curved gently, and simple chairs were arranged in a circle. Across from Mara sat Queen Siraki of the Zerath, surrounded by her Kalazar, guards, and advisors who watched silently, their chitinous armor glinting in the soft light. Colonel Victor Hale, the colony's commander, stood beside Mara, arms folded, eyes sharp and cautious. For a long moment, no one spoke. The air felt heavy with tension. Then Queen Siraki's crest glowed faintly green and she set her massive claw against the floor. The translator drone crackled before rendering her words into human speech. "You humans offer healing. Speak now of your plan." Mara swallowed hard but kept her voice steady. She took a deep breath. "Queen Siraki, we offered crystals as a sign of goodwill. In return, we ask to help you heal any wounds you may carry. Our medical team believes it can aid Zerath physiology with a special nanobot serum. It is new, but in our tests on Earth's research vessels it shows promise." She reached into her satchel and retrieved a small data pad. On its screen glowed diagrams of nanobots, microscopic machines designed to repair damaged cells. The Queen's guards clicked their mandibles softly, exchanging low tones in Zerathi. Colonel Hale stood behind Mara, his face unreadable. He had agreed to present Mara's proposal but remained skeptical. A mistake could cost them everything. Mara tapped the pad to display a model of a Zerath limb underwater, showing nanobots, sealing small tears in chitin and speeding healing. The Queen leaned forward. "Show me how you know our biology," she said. Her voice vibrated through Queen Siraki's chitinous throat, and the translator hummed to catch every nuance. Mara nodded. She slid the pad toward the Queen. "Our xenobiologist, Dr. Lin, Bao, analyzed a small sample of Zerath chitin from sensors on your ship. With those scans, we modified nanobots to match your genetic code. In our lab simulations, they accelerated healing by 50 times compared to natural repair." She pointed at the pad. "Of course, these are simulations. We need to test on a living Zerath body to confirm actual results." Queen Siraki's crest shifted from green to pale blue, apparently a sign of curiosity rather than anger. She tapped the pad with a claw. Her guards relaxed slightly, but they remained ready. If this serum fails, Saraki said in her low, rumbling tone, it will mean death. I will risk my life only if benefit outweighs cost. Mara nodded, voice gentle. I understand. We propose to do this in a secure med lab using our equipment to monitor your health. If the serum triggers any adverse reaction, we can halt immediately. Our goal is only to help you, not harm. The Queen's Kalazar muttered among themselves, their voices a low buzz of Zarathi syllables. Colonel Hale exchanged a glance with Mara. Finally, Queen Saraki rose from her seat, her massive form brushing against the room's ceiling. The translator rendered her declaration, I accept your offer. We will test this serum. But know this. Any betrayal will be met with swift retribution. Do not mistake mercy for weakness. Colonel Hale exhaled quietly. Mara allowed herself a small, relieved smile. Thank you, Queen Saraki. We will prepare the med lab at once. The med lab was set up inside a large transport module parked on a flat expanse of red rock outside the colony. Engineers had reinforced its walls with extra shielding and xenomedical equipment hummed softly. Tall scanner towers lined the room, each one fitted with sensors calibrated for Zirath biology. A central biocontainment slab, bright white and shaped like a long oval, rose from the floor. Its surface gleamed, and monitors hovered at eye level, ready to display pulse, temperature, and bioelectric readings. Dr. Linbao oversaw final preparations. He was a calm man, short and wiry with dark hair peppered by streaks of gray. He adjusted a micrometer valve on a serum injector, glancing at Mara and Colonel Hale. We are ready whenever you are, Lieutenant, he said. His voice was confident, but respectful. Nanobots are standing by. We will begin with a single small dose to observe any immediate effect. Mara nodded. They waited quietly as Queen Saraki's entourage approached. The Queen walked slowly, her massive form supported by two sturdy guards who flanked her. Once she was positioned on the biocontainment slab, medical straps held her gently but firmly in place. The colonists and Zarath guards formed a tight semicircle around the lab's edges, watching in tense silence. Mara approached the Queen's massive limb with a calm certainty. Your Majesty, she said, holding a small vial of shimmering liquid. The serum inside reflected the lab lights like liquid mercury. This is a minimal dose. We will monitor all vital signs and adjust as needed. If there is any danger, we will stop immediately. The Queen's crest glowed a steady green, apparently a sign of cautious acceptance. The translator whispered her words. Proceed. Mara nodded to Dr. Bao, who guided her hand as she inserted a fine injector into a dorsal artery along Queen Saraki's carapace. The serum flowed slowly into the Queen's bloodstream. Machines beeped as the nanobots moved through the Queen's body. Screens flashed data. Temperature remained stable. Heart-like rhythms of Zirath bioelectric flow smoothed out. A hush settled. Mara watched lines of code scroll on her handheld console. The nanobots were beginning to integrate. Minutes passed. The lab's red lights dimmed to a soft glow to avoid startling the Queen. Guards shifted their weight, ready to react at any hint of danger. Suddenly, Queen Saraki's body convulsed. Her crest brightened to a fierce blue, and a low roar shook the lab. The guards tensed, their weapons raised. Dust fell from the air vents as the Queen's massive muscles flexed. Sensors blinked warnings. The colonists gasped. Mara's heart thundered, but she stayed calm. Dr. Bao barked orders. Hold the injector steady. The nanobots triggered a defense reaction. We need to recalibrate their sequence. Mara adjusted settings on her handheld console. Rerouting nanobot protocols to suppress the Queen. Mara paused, stunned by the weight of the Queen's words. She dared not respond immediately, simply nodded. Dr. Bao shut off the injector. The monitors showed stable vitals. The Queen's breathing evened out. Onlookers released slow breaths. Some human engineers leaned forward, studying screens with new excitement while Zarath guards lowered their weapons slightly. Colonel Hale stepped forward, clearing his throat. Your Majesty, your trust honors us. We will continue monitoring, You as long as you need. Your well-being is our priority." His voice held genuine respect, and the Queen's crest flickered in acknowledgement. Queen Siraki rose carefully from the slab. 2 guards supported her flanks. She moved with surprising grace despite her size. She stepped toward Mara and looked directly into her eyes. The translator rendered her tone like a bass drum. "I grant you permission to remain by my side. Show me the path to cooperation, human." Mara felt her pulse slow. She had expected fear or suspicion, but instead saw something almost like gratitude in the Queen's glowing eyes. "Thank you, Your Majesty," Mara whispered. "We will not disappoint you." Later that evening, near the colony's central command dome, Mara and Queen Siraki met once more. The sun had sunk behind the red rocks and the sky glowed a deep violet. Small fires of refineries flickered in the distance and the dome's lights shone like distant stars. They stood on a flat platform built to host diplomatic meetings. On one side, humans in simple uniforms. On the other, Zirath clad in dark armor. Both waited in respectful silence. Queen Siraki began, "Human, you have healed my flesh. Now show me why I should trust your words. Tell me of the alliance you seek." Mara held her head high. "Queen Siraki, we believe that together we can build something greater. Your people have knowledge of war and resilience. Our people have tools of healing, agriculture, and industry. We propose a joint effort. You share Zirath resources and wisdom, and we share human science and culture. We can protect your people from foes like the Vallani, and in return, you help our colonies thrive. Together, we face any threat stronger than ourselves." The Queen's crest glowed a thoughtful blue. The Zirath advisors whispered among themselves. Finally, the translator spoke. "Your words are wise. I shall consider this alliance. But know this. Should any human betray me, your world will burn like ashes in the wind." Colonel Hale stepped forward and bowed slightly, voice firm. "You have our word. We will stand by you." Queen Siraki lifted one claw, and her guards tightened their formation. "Very well. We begin this path tomorrow with shared tasks. Show me your facilities, Captain Hale. Bring me those who build and those who teach. Let us shape this alliance." As the Zirath entourage retreated to their ship, Mara watched the Queen's massive silhouette disappear against the violet sky. She took a deep breath and turned to Colonel Hale. "We have taken the first step. Now comes the true work of trust. We must prove ourselves worthy." Colonel Hale nodded. "Agreed. But tonight, we celebrate this moment. Tomorrow we begin building a new future, one born of compassion and courage." Mara looked at the distant lights of Cormag 9 and felt hope pulsing through her. In the darkness of this remote world, a fragile alliance had taken root. She believed that with care and respect, humans and Zirath could shape a brighter tomorrow, one where kindness and science stood stronger than fear and war. The red sky of Cormag 9 slowly turned dark as night. Fell. Inside the large med-lab dome, soft white lights glowed quietly. The room was quiet but full of tension. Machines hummed, and monitors blinked with steady lights. Everyone knew this was not an ordinary medical task. They were about to treat a living legend. Queen Siraki of the Zirath lay on the biobed in the center of the lab. Her large, armored body was still, but her eyes glowed gently as she watched everything. The straps holding her limbs were loose but strong, showing both respect and care. Around her stood her most trusted guards, the Kalazar, their sharp eyes, always alert. Lieutenant Mara Jensen stood nearby holding a datapad. She wore a clean white coat over her protective suit. Though her hands were calm, her mind was racing. This moment could change the future of both species. Dr. Lin Bao, the chief medical expert, checked the machines once more. "Vitals are stable," he said. "We're ready for phase 2. He nodded to Mara, who stepped closer to the Queen. Mara spoke clearly but softly. "Queen Siraki, we are going to begin the main serum treatment. It will enter your body through your shoulder limb. It may feel warm. If there is any pain or discomfort, signal us at once." The Queen's translator buzzed softly before it spoke. "Begin, human, I am ready." Dr. Bao handed Mara the injection module. Inside, millions of microscopic nanobots floated in a clear silver fluid. These tiny machines were designed to find damaged cells, remove infections, and help the body heal faster than normal. It was a breakthrough in human medicine, but it had never been tested on a Zerath queen before. With steady hands, Mara pressed the injector against a soft section of the queen's carapace. A quiet hiss followed. The serum entered her body. Everyone watched the monitors. At first, nothing happened. Queen Saraki's breathing stayed even. Her body temperature was steady. For 5 long minutes, all signs were positive. Then the alarms began. The reaction. Her body is trying to fight them, but if we adjust the code, I'll do it, Mara said quickly. She opened her datapad and typed in a new command. She had learned Zerath cell patterns during her earlier research. Now, she used that knowledge to reprogram the nanobots in real time. The new code told the nanobots to mimic the Queen's own body signals, making them seem like allies instead of intruders. The Queen's breathing slowed again. Her crest turned blue. "It's working," Dr. Bao whispered. The whole lab remained silent, waiting. After another 10 minutes, the monitors showed that the damaged tissues in the Queen's thorax were healing. The nanobots had reached the core of the infection and were breaking it down. Her vital signs became stronger. Mara let out a long breath. "She's going to be all right." Queen Saraki opened her eyes. Her deep voice came through the translator again. "You have done what others could not. You healed what even our oldest medicines failed to touch. I feel renewed." One of her guards stepped forward, concerned. "My queen, are you certain? You are safe." The queen lifted one heavy claw and gently tapped the medical strap. "Yes, these humans have done well. Their hands do not only build weapons, they also bring peace." Mara stepped forward. "We will continue to monitor your health for the next few days, as we want to make sure everything remains stable." The queen nodded slowly. "You may do so. I give permission." Colonel Hale, who had been watching silently from the back, now stepped closer. "Your Majesty, you have shown great strength and trust. You could have destroyed us, yet you allowed us to help. We are honored." Queen Saraki stood up slowly from the bio-bed. Her strength had returned. She looked around the room. "This was not only healing of body," she said. "This was healing of thought. I believed no species could match Zerath care or science. I was wrong." Mara's eyes widened slightly. "Do you mean you trust us now?" "I trust you," the queen answered. "You have treated me with care that is rare and powerful." She turned to her guards. "Let it be known, the humans of Cormagnaim are not enemies. They are allies." The guards bowed their heads. Dr. Bao smiled. Mara felt something deep in her heart, a spark of hope. Outside the med lab, night winds howled across the rocky ground. But inside, something new had begun. Trust had taken root. As the queen left the med lab, her steps firm and sure, Mara turned to Colonel Hale. "This changes everything," she said. The sun rose slowly over the red hills of Cormagnaim. The air was still and cold, but inside the colony, life was moving faster than ever. Since the healing of Queen Saraki, everything had changed. Zerath guards walked beside human engineers. Human scientists worked side by side with Zerath scholars, exchanging knowledge. Hope was in the air, but not everyone was happy. Far above, the planet beyond the clouds and dust, an invisible danger was watching. A fleet of dark, silent ships hovered just outside sensor range. These ships belonged to the Vellani, an old enemy of both humans and Zerath. The Vellani leaders had heard about the new alliance. They feared it. If the two species worked together, their power could grow too strong. The Vellani had decided to stop it, quietly and quickly. One of their agents, disguised as a human. Technician was already inside the colony. Her name was Zara Kesh. And the air smelled fresh. "You seem stronger every day," Mara said. Queen Siraki walked slowly, her large frame towering beside Mara. "Yes, your treatment has worked." "Well, I have not felt this strength in many seasons," Mara smiled. "That makes me glad." The queen paused and looked at the sky. Her crest shifted to a pale blue. "But I sense something wrong." Mara followed her gaze. "What do you mean?" "There is movement beyond the sky. Something watches us." Just then an alarm sounded from the control tower. A voice came through the colony's speakers. "Unidentified objects detected. High orbit. They're not responding to calls." Colonel Hale rushed to the command dome. His team was already working at the control panels. On the screen, dark shapes appeared above the planet. "Warships, Villani ships. They're not attacking yet," one officer said, "but they're in position." Hale's face was hard. "Raise the shields, prepare defense systems, and inform Queen Siraki." At the same time, deep underground, Zara Kesh made her move. She slipped into a tunnel near the medical dome. She placed the disruptor behind a control box and activated a timer. 10 minutes, she whispered again. "Disruptor armed. Prepare for attack." But she didn't know someone was watching. One of the Zerath guards, young but sharp, had noticed her strange behavior. He followed her quietly and now rushed to warn his leaders. Back at the command dome, Queen Siraki stood beside Colonel Hale. Zerath warships had already begun to rise from the surface, forming a protective ring around the colony. Human fighters launched into the sky, joining them. For the first time in history, humans and Zerath would fight side by side. But then the lights inside the dome flickered. Mara looked at the monitors. "Something's wrong. Power drop in the medical center." An engineer checked his screen. "We're losing signal from Sector 7. That's where the serum lab is," Queen Siraki growled. "Sabotage." Without waiting, she turned and marched out of the dome. Mara and Hale followed her. They reached the lab just in time to see the Zerath guard pointing at the disruptor. "There," he shouted. Queen Siraki moved like lightning. She smashed the wall with one powerful claw and grabbed the device. Sparked in her hand, but she held it steady. Mara rushed forward and used her datapad to disable the timer. The disruptor powered down. Everyone breathed again. Hale's voice was sharp. "Find the saboteur, now." Within minutes, Zara Kesh was found trying to escape through a supply tunnel. She was caught by a team of human security officers and Zerath guards. She didn't resist. She simply said, "You are making a mistake. This alliance will bring war." Colonel Hale looked her in the eye. "No, it will bring peace, if we stand together." That night, the stars above Cormag 9 were filled with ships, but none fired a shot. The Villani fleet received no signal from their agent. Unsure of the situation and seeing the United Fleet below, they retreated into the dark. In the command dome, Queen Siraki looked out the window. "You saved me again," she said to Mara. "And you saved all of us," Mara replied. "We do this together." The Queen gave a slow, respectful nod. "Then let our bond grow stronger." The threat had passed, for now, but both sides knew more would come. Yet something had changed. Trust had begun, and with it hope for a better future. Together they would face whatever came next. The stars above Cormag 9 burned brighter than usual. From the ground, they looked calm and beautiful. But high above the planet, danger was growing. The Villani fleet had returned. This time they did not hide, shields up. Lieutenant Mara Jensen stood beside him, already wearing her communication headset. "We need to alert Queen Siraki. Her ships must be ready too." "They're already moving," Hale replied. "The Zerath are not waiting." Queen Siraki stood on the command deck of her warship, Verdant Scourge. The ship was alive, its walls glowing with soft green light. Zerath technology was different from human machines. It was part living, part metal, and powered by energy crystals. Her crew stood ready, eyes focused. Through the wide glass window, the Queen saw the Villani ships approach. "They come without honor," she said quietly. Her second-in-command, a large Zerath with silver markings, replied, "They fear our bond with the humans." The Queen's crest glowed. "Let them fear. We will protect our allies." She tapped the control stone in front of her. A message was sent to all Zerath ships. "Defend Cormag 9. Fight with the humans." Above the planet, human and Zerath ships moved into a single formation. It was a sight no one had seen before, two very different species flying as one. The first Villani ship fired a bright beam of energy. It struck a human scout, damaging its wing. The ship spun and crashed into the planet's upper atmosphere. The battle had begun. Mara watched from the ground as the sky lit up with flashes of light. The colony shook as defense cannons fired from hidden platforms around the base. Colonel Hale gave quick orders. "Focus fire on the lead Villani cruiser. If we break their center, they'll scatter." On the Zerath ship, Queen Siraki saw the same weakness. She spoke into her crystal communicator. "Target the center. Follow the human attack plan." Together, human fighters and Zerath ships flew toward the lead cruiser. Missiles, energy beams, and plasma bursts crossed the sky. The lead Villani ship fired back with powerful red blasts. One Zerath ship was hit badly, falling in flames. A human ship shielded its escape. The alliance was more than words, it was action. Back in the colony, a second problem began. Zarakesh, the Villani spy caught earlier, had escaped her cell. Somehow she had hacked the door and knocked out the guard. Now she was running through the colony, trying to reach the power core. If she could damage it, the whole defense system could fall. Mara got the alert in her earpiece. "Zara's loose. Heading to the main core." She turned and ran, two security officers behind her. Inside the power dome, Zara was already planting a small explosive device. She worked quickly, her face calm, but just as she finished, the door burst open. "Step away," Mara shouted. Zara turned. "You still think peace is possible? You don't know what's coming." Mara stepped closer. "I know this. Peace is always possible when people choose it. You chose destruction. We chose hope." Zara raised a small trigger. Mara didn't wait. She leapt forward and knocked the device from Zara's hand. It slid across the floor. One of the guards tackled Zara and placed cuffs on her wrists. The crisis inside was over, but the battle above still raged. Suddenly, a loud voice echoed in the command dome. It was Queen Siraki speaking through a shared channel. "Their flagship is weakened. We strike now." Mara looked at the screen. The largest Villani ship had lost power on one side. Sparks flew from its engines. Colonel Hale gave the order. "All ships, final strike." Human and Zerath ships dove together, blasting the flagship with everything they had. The sky exploded in light, then silence. The Villani fleet began to retreat. Their ships turned and jumped back into deep space. They were defeated. Cheers broke out in the command dome. People hugged, laughed, and cried. The battle was over. Later, Queen Siraki landed near the command dome. Mara and Colonel Hale greeted her with honor. "You fought with courage," Siraki said. "So did your people," Hale replied. Mara stepped forward. "We saved each other. That's what this alliance means." The Queen looked at both of them. "The Zerath do not forget those who stand with them. We are bonded now, by battle, by blood, and by belief." The stars above were quiet again. The colony was safe. And though more dangers might come, for now there was peace, earned together. In that moment, human and Zerath stood side by side, not as strangers but as allies, and perhaps someday as friends. The sun rose again over Cormag 9, painting the sky with soft orange light. Smoke from the battle had cleared. The colony stood, strong. Broken buildings were being repaired, cracked walls were patched. Human and Zerath workers moved side by side, helping each other without fear. The war had brought them closer. Inside the command dome, everything was calm now. Screens showed no enemy ships. Engineers monitored energy levels and repaired systems. Peace had returned, at least for now. Lieutenant Mara Jensen stood by the window, watching the sky. She still felt the rush of the battle, but deeper inside, she felt something else: hope. Queen Siraki had stayed after the battle. Her warship Verdant Scourge remained in low orbit, and she visited the surface often. Today she had asked for a private meeting with Mara. Not in the command dome, not in the med lab, but in the colony's garden, where human and Zerath plants grew together. Mara arrived first. The garden was quiet, full of color and light. Flowers bloomed beside glowing crystals, and the air was warm with life. She walked slowly to the center where a stone bench stood. Soon the queen arrived. Siraki walked with strength and grace. Her guard stayed at a distance. Today she wore no armor, only her natural shell, polished and shining in the morning sun. Her crest glowed a soft green. Mara stood and bowed slightly. "It's good to see you, Your Majesty." The queen nodded. "Call me Siraki here. Titles are for war, this place is for peace." Mara smiled. "Then thank you, Siraki." The queen looked at the plants around them. "This garden, it is simple, but it holds power. Life growing together, no fighting, no fear. That's what we want," Mara said. "A future where we grow together, not apart." There was a long silence. Then Siraki turned to Mara. "I must tell you something. A truth I have not shared before." Mara listened closely. "A long time ago," Siraki began, "my people believed we were alone in strength. We fought all who came near. We saw kindness as weakness. But I was tired of war. I dreamed of something else. Something better. Then I met you." Mara felt a lump in her throat. "And we were afraid of you," she admitted. "We thought you came to destroy us. But you chose care," Siraki said. "You saw pain in me, and you helped. No one in the galaxy had done that before. That changed everything." Mara looked down. "I didn't do it for power. I just wanted to help someone who needed it." "And that," Siraki said, "is why you are different. Why your people may be ready for more." The queen reached into a pouch on her side and took out a glowing stone. It pulsed with soft purple light. "This is a Zerath memory stone," she said. "It holds a piece of my mind, my story, my feelings, my truth. I want you to have it." Mara took the stone carefully. It was warm in her hand. She looked up at the queen, surprised. "This is a great honor." "It is more than that," Siraki said. "It is a sign. I trust you. I trust your people." Mara stood quietly for a moment, then said, "I want to offer you something too." She reached into her pack and pulled out a thin silver ring. It had no stone, only a smooth band with small earth letters engraved on it. Unity and difference. "This is a human symbol," she explained. "It means two sides, different but equal, joined together. I give it to you." The queen studied it, then gently took it. "I will wear it with pride." The two stood there in silence again. Birds from Earth chirped in the distance. Zerath insects hummed softly. The garden was alive with peace. Then the queen said something unexpected. "I will go back soon," she said, "to my homeworld. I must tell my people about this place, about you. Some will resist, some may be angry, but I will speak with truth." Mara looked concerned. "Will they accept what happened here?" Siraki looked at the sky. "I do not know, but change begins with a voice. I will be that voice." Mara nodded. "And we will be ready here. If they come in peace, we will welcome them." The queen's crest glowed brighter. "And if they do not, I will stand with you." Mara felt her heart grow lighter. "Thank you, Siraki, for everything." "No," the queen said gently. "Thank you for teaching me what strength truly means." They stood together as the sun climbed higher, two leaders from two worlds, no longer strangers. As the Queen returned to her ship, she turned back one last time. "Our bond is sealed, Mara Jensen. This is not the end. It is the beginning." Mara watched her go, the memory stone still glowing in her hand. A new chapter had begun. Months passed since the battle above Cormag 9. The colony had grown stronger, safer, and more alive. Buildings that were once broken now stood taller. New gardens had spread across the land, mixing Earth's green with the glowing plants of the Zerath. It was a place of peace, built from trust. Lieutenant Mara Jensen stood on a raised platform, in the center of the colony. She wore her clean uniform but no weapons. Around her were people from two worlds, humans and Zerath, gathered together for a special day. Today was the opening of the Unity Research Center, a place where both species would study, teach, and build a better future. Scientists, students, and builders from Earth and Zerath would work together, no longer as enemies but as allies. Mara looked out over the crowd. Some had traveled far from Earth. Others had come from deep inside Zerath space. All of them had come because something new was beginning. The ceremony started with a short speech from Colonel Hale. He stood tall, his voice clear. "Months ago, this colony faced danger. Together, we stood strong. Today, we do more than survive. We grow. This center is a symbol, not of power but of partnership." People clapped and some Zerath let out a soft hum of approval, their way of showing respect. Next, the Zerath speaker, a wise elder named Vasikar, stepped forward. His voice came through the translator. "Once, we believed only the strong should rule, but true strength comes from joining hands, not raising weapons. Today we open the path to understanding." Finally, Mara stepped forward. She took a breath and smiled. "We were afraid once," she said, "afraid of each other. But then something amazing happened. We listened. We helped. And from that, a new bond was born. This center is not just a building. It is a promise that humans and Zerath can learn from each other, that together, we can create a better galaxy." The crowd clapped again. Zerath and humans side by side, united by something deeper than fear, hope. As the ribbon was cut, the doors to the Unity Research Center opened wide. People stepped inside to see rooms filled with learning tools, labs, and shared spaces. Screens displayed both human languages and Zerath symbols. Lights glowed gently in colors from both worlds. It was beautiful. Later that evening, Mara sat in the garden she once walked with Queen Siraki. The memory stone still rested in her pocket. She often held it during quiet moments. When she touched it, she could feel the Queen's thoughts, memories, and emotions. It was more than a gift, it was a part of Siraki's soul. Suddenly her communicator buzzed, she tapped it. "Jensen here," a young officer replied. "Lieutenant, a ship just entered orbit. It's not human, but it's not Zerath either. We're checking the records now." Mara stood quickly. "Any signs of threat? No weapons active. It's just very old. The design doesn't match any known race." Mara's eyes narrowed. "Keep scanning, I'm heading to command now." She ran toward the dome. Her heart beat fast, but it wasn't fear, it was curiosity. Inside the command dome, the large screen showed the strange ship. It was long, smooth, and silver blue. Parts of it looked damaged or worn by time. Symbols on its side were not from Earth, Zerath, or Villani. They were from something older. "Where did it come from?" Colonel Hale asked. "Unknown," the officer replied. "It just appeared." Then a soft signal came through. It wasn't a voice, but a pattern of light and sound. Mara stepped closer. She stared at it, then smiled. "It's a greeting," she said. "An invitation." "To what?" Hale asked. "To talk," Mara answered. "Whoever they are, they don't come to fight." Just then, a second signal arrived, this time from the verdant scourge, Queen Siraki's ship. The Queen's voice came through clearly. "I sense something familiar in that ship," Siraki said. ancient, like stories from before the wars. I will come to the surface. We will face this together. Mara nodded. Agreed. An hour later, Mara and Saraki stood side by side once more. They looked up at the ship hanging silently above the colony. Lights danced across its surface, sending gentle waves of meaning. What do you think it wants? Mara asked. Saraki tilted her head. Perhaps it sees what we have done. Perhaps it comes to see if peace is truly possible. Mara looked at the Queen. Are we ready for that? Saraki's crest glowed soft blue. Together, yes. And so, under the stars of Cormagnoin, a new chapter began. A third voice had entered the story, not to divide, but maybe to join. And with hearts open and minds calm, Human and Zerath prepared to meet the unknown.